heard of you. And then he asked, and this isn't being recorded, I understand, Teresa, asked me to go to a conference. I had never heard of CRV. I had never listened to Coast to Coast. I didn't know any of that. I went to, what was it, 2002? And you were there. And you said some things. You and Greg had a chat, and I was listening, and I was like, well, that's so much like what happens to me, because I would hear conversations, intentions, a lot of things that, anyway, then my idea was to go to Austin and do level 1 with Paul, and then head on over to Alamogordo and do the next level with you. But then Paul he didn't tell us till the last day. He had, it was like 6 months or a year till you could move on, and so you got to do all these, one target a month and mail it back and forth. And it was like, well, that kind of messed up my plans. So CRB, yes, yes and no. Yes and no. That's the best I can say. I would love to do some training with you and some of the things that you were discussing. And consciousness has always been my focus, not CRV per se. Although I do think it's worth learning. Okay, I'll hang up.
Yeah, CRV is not the end-all and be-all of everything. I mean, there are plenty of other methods that work really well, and in fact, some of them, for some targets, it work even better than CRV. But, yeah, I always advise people to take their time and get the basic stuff under their belt. But, like, we have a guy coming from Australia in September, and he can make this one trip, and that's it. And so we're going to hold 3 classes right in a row for him, the basic, intermediate, and advanced, all right together, with the understanding that he's going to go back and practice. And I hope he'll do that, or else he's just wasting his time and money. But, yeah, CRV isn't the end-all and be-all of everything. And if you know several different methods, and you use the one that works best for you in each case, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, it's not just a monochromatic type thing.
I wanted initially that I heard you say is, consciousness, there's so much data in it. There's so much. And what I wanted that I thought you would be perfect to train me in is how to just really focus that like a laser, really get that honed in. Because especially when there's crisis of big events, there's tons of input. I don't know if you remember, but when I was going to come over for that Mensa thing in New Orleans, what was that, July of 2005, I was freaking out seeing New Orleans flood. I called Greg and said, I don't know this guy, Lynn, but please just call. He's a remote viewer. I'm sure he knows. But I just can't get out the door and go over there. I just keep seeing the whole city flooding and people in attics. I'm afraid for him over there, and I'm supposed to be there. I got my hotel, and I can't go, and blah, blah. I said, I'm not going to call him and sound like a wingnut, but I'm worried. And it was a month later that all that happened, So it's like that stuff, to be able to sort out what's when and what's what. And I really felt like you were the right trainer for that. Paul's a good trainer for other aspects. That at least was my impression before I started. I definitely picked you two for a reason.
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that, with New Orleans flooding like that it did happen. I tend to be right in the middle of every big mess like that, just like I was at 9/11. Just 4 blocks from the building and all that. But Yeah. Well, one thing, I teach a class, I try to teach one class a year in controlled remote viewing, where I teach it for good natural psychics who already know how to do the remote viewing, they just don't have the control. And so what I teach for that class is almost completely controls rather than the remote viewing itself. And that has really been a benefit to a lot of really good natural psychics who all of a sudden have gained control over what they're doing.
Tamara and I were both mentioning, that we were not in session, did not have a pen to paper. Not with this target for me because I chose it, but she was getting perceptions. You were sitting in a doctor's office and thinking about the Mississippi, wondering where did that come from? And I've done that with other targets. Do you think that, I don't know, any precog in that at all? Or are we just talking remote viewing? I don't know. Viewing the feedback photo? What do you think?
Well, we've known for a long time that the subconscious mind will pick up on just about everything, and if it's something important, and if you've established a line of communications, then it's just going to tell you, in the military unit, we had a lot of projects that would come up, and sometimes on the day it came up, sometimes the day or two before that, we would have viewers who had already departed the unit, sometimes years before, would just call up and they'd say, hey, I don't know what's going on, but I've been getting this, and so I thought I'd tell you. And so where we had 6 viewers in the unit, we'd have input from 8 or 9 viewers. And, all of a sudden you just need to learn how to listen to your subconscious. And, I've always said that the purpose of learning controlled remote viewing is so that you get so in touch with your subconscious that you don't need the controlled remote viewing anymore. The danger in saying that is that I know a lot of people will try to short circuit that and quit the CRV way too soon. And but I think the end goal of learning CRV is just that, to get in total touch with your subconscious mind. Then you don't need the protocols and the methods and the rules and the regulations anymore because you're already doing it.
These things, Lynn, I think you'll understand this, but this type of thing is why I keep it at kind of a distance from CRV, even though I very much want to learn. I also keep a distance because after that conference and I came online, well, it's like if I connect with everyone and what they're focusing on, it's just all there. It's just too much. Dan, God love him, asked me the other day if I wanted to be on the prayer list, and I said no. Then I wind up feeling well, I don't know if it's but too much stuff and focus and just too muchness. And it's a hard balance for me. And I'm sure for people like me, it's a really hard balance because, like the people you were talking about, they weren't working with the unit anymore. They're living their life doing stuff, and that's kind of, like me. It can be intrusive, and so the control of it, which I very much wanted to learn, the way I looked at it, people are learning from the other side. I want to learn from the everything wide open going back, and most people seem, they're learning to open that aperture. I want to learn to close it just a bit, unless I want it open. So I hope you understand that.
I've heard a lot of people say that, but in actual practice, they're sort of running from one thing, hoping to make the other one better. Sort of like, I'm going to blindfold myself so I can hear better, when actually, if you can see what you're hearing, it adds to it rather and gives you more control over it rather than, you know, overwhelming you, because it's just using all of your senses to work better. And the thing is that, you know, I tell people, if you learn CRV, learn ARV, don't give up either one for the other, but learn to practice them together. If you learn both, fine. Learn dowsing. Learn something else, because all of it is going to add to your senses and give you more control over what you're doing. And I think a lot of people are afraid of being overwhelmed, when the fact is that the incoming information would be much more intelligible if you learn to sense it in different ways. And you know, if you're saying that learning CRV is going to overwhelm you, it won't. It'll give you control over what you're doing, and it's not going to overwhelm you at all. It's just going to add to your control and add to your ability to understand what your subconscious is saying. I mean, that's what it's designed to do. So I wouldn't be afraid of the CRV, because it's tools. It's tools to help you do what you're doing. And the people who have gone ahead and said, well, I'm afraid of doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway, I have never seen a one that didn't come out saying, hey, this is so much better.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear. I wasn't saying that at all about CRV. I was actually saying that about the online community of people and being an empath and the whole kind of, all the extras that go with the CRV community goes with the learning of CRV. So I was actually addressing that, not CRV. I absolutely want to learn CRV, and I think it's a great tool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I misunderstood there. Yeah, but there have been a lot of people who have, you know, who have said, well, I don't want to learn CRV because I will be overwhelmed with everything. And if they go ahead and do it anyway, they, you know, they're just all that much better for it. I was reading Ronaldo's here, and haven't finished reading it yet, but I'm hoping to. Just 1 second. Yeah, Ronaldo. Let me take this one thing at a time. When doing a location, I'm often viewing multiple targets to zero in on a single target. If the target was ill chosen, it will. So that may not be your problem. That may be the problem of the person choosing the target, that they're just not choosing targets wisely. What I find is a great deal of accuracy is lost after the viewing because of analysis, misinterpretation of structures and all. Welcome to the group. That's one of our problems. You know, you have no idea what the target is, and you do your session, you get all this information, and then you have to write it up as a summary. And so that's why we have very highly structured summaries. I don't know who your teacher was. Was it Lori or Paul? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, it's the after session analysis where you write up your summary. That is it's almost an art form in itself, and I don't know of anybody who doesn't, you know, just get confused and actually lose a lot of information in the process by writing their summary. However, it's the summary that that everybody has to go by for the information. So it's a necessary evil.
And I'm looking at Ronaldo's questions, and he's viewing multiple targets. I wonder, would you be able to tell us what your tasking is before you start out? Oh, we have, no, same. Scarabee rocks, yeah. When you talk about your tasking, okay, so are you given more than coordinates to work with? Do you know going in that it's a hotel in Madrid? Has someone told you that before you ever started? Hopefully he's typing a really long paragraph. And while he is hopefully typing that really long paragraph, we can talk about front loading versus just coordinates and wearing a viewer out while they bounce all over Madrid looking for the one hotel. Well, first they have to get the one hotel in the world, and if you knew it was in Madrid, then the one structure in Madrid that matches the hotel. Lynn, do you want to say anything about that? I have a feeling he's typing, but, maybe I'm not psychic because I don't know that for sure.
Yeah. And in this case, I was wondering who his teacher is because I know the different styles the teachers have, and so I was, trying to figure out, like, if he's given a picture and told it's the city and then just told find the target in here, then, I mean, that's one valid way to do it. That's one valid way to do the tasking. Who was your teacher, Ronaldo? And like I say, that is a valid way to do it. And there are all different kinds of ways of tasking targets without polluting. Now, if you're given a picture of a city and you're told this is Madrid, then that's going to pollute you to hear Spanish. Oh, okay, develop your own methodology? Okay. Then that's going to have you hearing Spanish and is going to bring up all these preconceived ideas about what Spain is like and what Madrid is like and all that. Do you drop these into envelopes, mix them up so that you don't know what's coming up, or do you just pick a thing out of a magazine and like a picture out of a magazine and then select maybe a cafe? Use North. Okay. All right. Yeah. Good. This is quite a bit like one of the things that we do when we go on Google and get an overhead view of some little town that's nearby where you live, and then find one roof, mark, sort of mark an X on it, and say, okay, I'm going to find out what's in that building, and you go do the building, go do the session, and then you get in your car and go to that building and see if you were right for feedback. Do you select your own targets, and you know, how do you get feedback? Like on the cafe, how did you get feedback on that?
He said that his organization is viewing as a group, so must be somebody else choosing targets.
Well, that's going to help.
Yeah, the others choose, because some groups actually say, okay, today we're going to go to the Statue of Liberty. Like, okay, that's nothing like unblind viewing there.
I'm always reminded of the one that was given by the Mount Baldy Institute to their viewers, and it just described the activities of the gentlemen customers at the Red Horse brothel in someplace in Nevada, and that was their front loading. You know, what are you going to do? Oh, I see them playing chess and checkers.
Yes, that's not good. We better skip that. Here we go. Teresa, can you check your email? I sent a COB session I did last night for Marty's precog. Hope you and Lynn can pick it apart. And that's from Jed, and you betcha. Just a second here. We'd love to have fun with the session. I have an email from Marty. Is your stuff in there someplace? That's one thing I do not get about this new computer. If I sign in doing another server, I'll get all my new email. I swear, good old AOL. I'm putting in a plug for AOL right here on onboard. And here's Jed's stuff. Oh. And here's somebody who's emailed me who was supposed to be here. Unless I can't remember if any of you guys are Jonas in your emails. They were wondering about a target for this session. Alright, Jed, I'm pulling up your stuff right here. And I have your image. I'm looking to see just telling you guys what I'm doing here. I have the temple. Just looking for your session that might go with it. And it might all be in here. It's still downloading. Jed, I have 3 images of the Thailand temple, and I'm looking for something that's got some sort of text with it that would be your session. And I'm opening a PDF also. There we go. Okay. sideways. Just trying to figure out if it's more than one page, because that's all I have. Alright, if you guys can give me a split second, I can put this into a document, and then we can look at it. Like I said, this computer is a little squirrely. It likes to hide things. And it doesn't want to let me copy it. Let me see if I can save it. Oh, and that was you that had sent the email. Okay. Now I'm back with you guys. Sorry, and let me see if I can now find. The thing was, I saved that picture. Alright. Sorry, I've got 3 servers open here just to retrieve this thing. 3 browsers. And luckily, this thing is still functioning, because the more stuff you have open, the more of a fit it'll throw. Okay. Believe it or not, we're close. In case this doesn't work. besides people whiteboard at work as well. Okay, let me see if I can pull it up. You guys all falling asleep on me? Wouldn't surprise me. Now comes the fun part, because there's about half a dozen. There we go. Alright, there's Jed's session, which I can reduce. And I can also rotate it. There we go. And then the only thing is, I have to bring up another one. It's got his image in it. I couldn't copy your PDF. Alright, so now I can look over at you guys, see how many of you I've put to sleep while I'm rounding around in there. Okay, you guys have been, oh yeah, Marty's into the fuzzy logic thing of Russell Targs. So, see, that's one thing. I was going to talk to Marty after I'd done my thing, and he can see. Sorry, I'm scrolling down through your conversation. Blend to sleep. Okay, now, there we go, back to the actual session. Okay, what am I rotating? Okay. You're welcome. Lynn, you said neat session. You want to make some comments? Not arm twisting or anything.
Yeah, I like the fact that he selected, that he got that there were 3 of them. People say, you can't do numbers in remote viewing, and yet when you start sketching, the numbers come out. You find 3 things, and there are 3 things. You say there are trees along this driveway, and you just make a sketch of a few trees. It's almost guaranteed that the number of trees you sketched will be the number of trees that are there. And yet, if you ask a viewer how many are there, they'll almost always get the wrong number. And so when you sketch, it's your subconscious mind. And if you look at these sketches and you look at that feedback, you see that you see the accuracy of what's there. And in fact, I was noticing I couldn't see really clearly that small picture, but look at number 2, yeah, and see how part of it's hidden.
Yeah.
And look
he's
at
got
his
it
sketch
outlined
for
with
number
dots.
2, and you'll see that part of it is actually covered up or hidden. And there's a lot of information in the sketch that's actually there at the target. And this is a really neat, very short session, and yet it has a lot of information in it.
Sorry, it's Teresa playing with WebEx here. I'm trying to enlarge that actually. Oop, well, a little big.
Actually, Teresa, we can enlarge it down at the bottom of the thing, right? You have the 3 little screen emblems, and then the rotate left and the rotate right.
Right.
And then there's a little thing that says percentage.
Yeah.
And all we have to do is click on that drop-down box, and we can enlarge it to any size we want.
Well, aren't you special?
Well, if you saw what I wrote in the text there, but it just seems very accurate to me that you get the 3, there's 3 objects, and you start honing in, there's absolutely 3 separate styles or segments of each of those. So it seems like an easy confusion for the mind that, oh, well, this is, you know, because you're on the 3s, and there are 3 objects, and there's 3 aspects of each one. So I think it's a really good session.
But look at this right here. It's up against so much of the target I chose. This one's a lot more fun. We have a session to work. Look at this. It's cylindrical. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm not supposed to identify it. I'm supposed to describe it. All right, so look at that. And then look at this right here. I'm playing with the tools. I don't know. I'm playing with the tools some more. Look how that's odd. We've got 3 objects. We've got lots of structures, I'll put it that way. And this looks like it's like sketchy, like we can't really see the whole thing. You know, and I'm not trying to fudge, I'm just trying to analyze and look at what we have and what we might have. But see this stuff right here? See that stuff right there? I'm just saying. Because these are in a line. It could be, could not be, you know. Anyway, I'm just talking.
Kim, looking at it, what he describes as object 1, object 2, object 3, if you just start right there at the top.
Yeah.
Each of those, he's got those dead accurate. And if in the beginning of the session the 3 came up, it just makes sense to me that, okay, honing in then, you know, that 3 would just kind of, I mean, there's 3,
actually,
well, you'd have to go back. But the thing you're pointing out, I don't see the connection other than there's also 3 stacks to that, but I don't really see
3
what you're
spires
seeing there, Teresa.
Yeah, you've got 3 spires. Actually 4. Actually, here's another one. There's another one. He doesn't have to get them all. I wonder how many of these things there are. Like an array.
Okay, Teresa, this is where we were talking earlier on the phone about honing a target down to where you have the particular things of interest. There are dozens of those temples at that site, and yet this has been cropped to where those 3 temples are the main attractive thing. You know, if this had been cropped further, even down to 1 of those temples, then very possibly what the viewer would have done would be to find out about the temple, what's inside it, what happens there, and all this other stuff. So a lot of the effect on a viewer's session is actually target selection. You pick a bad target, and a viewer's going to have a hard time with it. And we always externalize success. We say, oh, this stuff's great whenever we have a good session. And when you have a bad session, you always say, oh, I'm no good, I can't do this, I'm off today, and all that. And many times it's not the viewer at all. It's just bad target selection. And this is a good target. This was a well-selected target because it has that one set of details that you're going to focus in as a main object of the target. And you know, you were talking earlier about a site that has all these different things in it, and what you would want to do is you would want to crop the target down to the one specific thing, and that would help the viewer's session to zero in on whatever the actual target is. Whereas if you leave it like, I don't know, an amusement park that has a roller coaster and a shooting gallery and a hall of mirrors and things like that, the viewer has to wander around the site looking for stuff and hoping that they describe what's important. And so many times target selection makes or breaks the session that a viewer is going to do. And this is a well-selected target here. This is a good one. And it's a good session, too.
Sorry.
Stephen?
Sorry, Stephen. Jed did a session, so we pulled his up. This is not the, if you work the target, this is not your feedback, so don't panic.
Glad you brought this up, Steven. I won't call you Jed because I keep thinking it's your session, but it, for me anyway, really shows the importance of selection and how analysts can look at, you know, that's going to vary too. And Lynn, I appreciate what you said. Very helpful. Thank you.
I was looking to see, oh, notice there was height associated with the target. Okay. Like an open box container. You know, it's fun anyway.
I think if I was in the, well, I don't think I feel, if I was in the bottom, if I entered the bottom of one of those temples and looked up, it would feel like an open box container. I mean, the sense of that much height, I would feel that sense of I mean, because the bottom's square like a box that's like, look how tall they are. Or at least that's the way they seem to me right now. Maybe they're short, but it seems like they're very tall. And if you walked in at the bottom, that would be the sense of just going way up into the sky.
Yeah. Lynn, I understand you have to go. Tell Linda we said hi. I hope she feels better.
Thank you so much. And yes, hi to Linda, and I hope she feels better too.
Okay, just for Stephen. Stephen, here's what... Oops, wrong screen. There we go. We were... this was the actual target for this evening. Let me make that a little smaller. And not that small. And it was a barge on a river and a tug pushing it. And we didn't actually, none of us actually did the session, but some of us were getting some impressions, things about, like, never usually think about the Mississippi, and it was bugging Lynn all day, stuff like that. And actually, we've been here an hour and 15 minutes. You guys have any other questions or stuff you want to bring up? Thanks for that session, Jed. I don't know much about ARV except for I don't really like the judging system. I don't think that I don't know much about it, so I can't really say, you know. And Stephen, did you want to say something? I know, there's a lot of us who don't get around to it. Sorry you have to get up in the middle of the night over there in the UK. We were just having open mic for the most part, and at least Jed's session gave us something to actually analyze and talk about. That's good. There are some folks who can ask questions about methodology for hours and hours, but it's always nice to have a session to work with.
It really is. I learned a lot. And I want to ask forgiveness again. I thought I called Ronaldo Stephen, and it was really Jed that I quit smoking this month, and I'm half brain dead. But that's okay, because it's a good thing. And I need to say goodbye because my dog just thinks she can't wait another minute to go out and get drained. And I really have to take her because she's going nuts, so asking me to take her out. So thank you all. Thank you, Jed, for bringing up this session. It taught me a lot. And Teresa for having this. And I'm sorry again for calling everybody the wrong names. And
I think
see you soon.
It'll be okay. And we probably should get going. I think, Stephen, I'm sorry the session was just ending as you got here, and I'm really sorry it's the middle of the night in the UK. I tried to get some of these on Saturdays where it might be a little more humane time for more people. And Marty's going to have another ARV session, I think, on August the 21st, which reminds me I need to get that scheduled. Busy, busy, busy. So anyway, well, I think we all probably are pretty much done for this evening, and I will see you next time. Just keep checking at the WebEx website, because people tell me that they can present, and then they get busy, and then they have to reschedule, and so anyway, just keep checking back to see who's doing what. Thank you for coming. Good night, everybody.